Hello, welcome to JavaScript course. In this section, we are going to be learning about statements in JavaScript. Before we start writing code, let us go through some theories. What is JavaScript statements? A statement in JavaScript is a line of instructions to be executed by JavaScript engine. Semicolons in JavaScript. Semicolons are optionally used to separate JavaScript statements in different lines, but for statements in the same line, semicolons is compulsory. White space in JavaScript. You can add white spaces to JavaScript code to make it more readable, but JavaScript ignores multiple white spaces. Line length and line breaks in JavaScript. For best JavaScript code readability, avoid code lines longer than 80 characters. If a JavaScript statement does not fit on one line, the best place to break it is after an operator. Code blocks in JavaScript. A code block is used to group statements in JavaScript. JavaScript keywords. A keyword is used to state the action to be performed in JavaScript. Let us list some examples of JavaScript keywords. var, let, const, if, switch, for, function, return, try, etc. As we go on in this course, you will see these keywords and many others in use. If you are new to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and the notification bell to get new video upload from us. Before we start writing code, let's first of all create a JavaScript file. To do that, click on the new file link and let's name our file app.js. Alright, here we are going to save our file in the C drive, and in the tutorial in C drive, in the tutorial folder, and here is our file. So let's list out what we are going to be learning in this section. What is a statement in JavaScript? All right, semicolons. All right, in JavaScript. White spaces in JavaScript. Okay, line length and line breaks in JavaScript. Code blocks in JavaScript, and JavaScript keywords. All right, these are what we are going to be looking at, so let's quickly start. First, what is a statement in JavaScript? All right, for instance, let me declare a variable and say let student name, and let's assign John Doe as our student name. All of this from the beginning to the end is called statement in JavaScript. So every line of code that is a complete instruction that the JavaScript engine can execute is a statement in JavaScript. Just know that every line of code that can be executed in JavaScript without throwing error is JavaScript statement. So it could even be something like this. Let's say num be 2 plus 2 times 3. This is also a statement, so long as it can be executed alone and don't throw error. That is a statement. All right, and also console, for instance, .log hello world, for instance, is also a statement. So let me increase the font of our text for better visibility. Okay, I think it's better this way. So all of these are different statements in JavaScript, semicolons in JavaScript. All right, here you see I have semicolon here. So before I go further with that, let me console this for you to see display student name. All right, so now let's run it using Node in our terminal. All right, cd C drive tutorial, that's the folder I saved the file tutorial. Then okay, let's node app, that's the name of the file. So this is what I need to show you. Here we have colon ending this statement. What happens if I remove this column? So let me run the code again and see if it will throw error or not. So node app.js, here no error. So what this means is that semicolon in JavaScript is optional. All right, so it's optional when the different statements that you have are in different lines. For instance, this is a statement and this is another statement. Here they are in different lines. All right, the first one is in line 8 and the other is in line 9. So what happens if I put the both of them in the same line? All right, so save. When I run this code, node app.js, so we get errors. All right, reason being that when two statements are in the same line, you must put a semicolon to separate them. So for instance, if you have 3, you must separate all of them using the semicolon. It's only then JavaScript engine can know that these are different statements. But if you don't want to separate them with semicolon, all right, you can move them to different lines. That will be fine. If they are on the same line, you need to put semicolon. So let's try them on the same line and separate them using semicolons. All right, so here we've separated the both statements with semicolon. So once we go to our terminal, we have to save first. Come to the terminal, node app.js. So that is semicolon in JavaScript. All right, so if they are in different lines, they are optional. So you can also do this. is valid. Node app JS. Okay, so the next step, white spaces in JavaScript. Here we have a white space between the student name and this assignment operator. So this white space here is absolutely optional. Okay, for instance, I can remove this white space and run this code. You see, it will still run fine. To still run fine. So what happens if instead of a single space, let me put several spaces? All right, so if I run this, it is still very valid. So JavaScript ignores multiple white spaces. It still runs fine. Space is irrelevant and multiple spaces are ignored. All right, note that. Line length and line break. For instance, let's write a very lengthy statement in JavaScript. Let us have a statement like student name in SS2 and student name in SS3. All right, so this code is getting lengthy. Felix Brown. All right, first, if it's longer than this, for instance, you see it can be hidden from sight due to the width of the IDE. All right, so look at this. In case the statement is this long, you see that some part of the code is hidden from sight, except you have to scroll horizontally. So most times it is advised that when you have such code, you should break it into 2 lines. All right, that's where we have the line breaks. Okay, we have to reverse this. All right, so let's assume this is a lengthy code we need to break. Okay, so here, if we break it here, let's try it. Node JS. So here everything is fine. We got our result. So now let's break it after the operator. Everything will still be fine. All right, so let's save. Node. Okay, look at that, everything is fine. So like I said, if we break it, for instance here, we are going to have an error. So node, look at that, we've got some errors. So that's that for that. Ctrl Z. All right, so code block in JavaScript. Now, what are code blocks? So code blocks are usually used for functions, loop, conditional statements, so on and so forth. So now let's write a function. You may not be familiar with what a function is now, but as we move on, you'll get to see what a function is. But first, let's see how we use code block when writing a function. For instance, we have a function get sum. All right, so what our function does is let number 1 equals to 2 and let number 2 equals to 3. All right, so Then we have let result equals to number 1 plus number 2. All right, so now let's return results. So what's the idea here? So here, if we call our get sum function, we are going to get the result we return here. So let's try that. Node.js. all right, so here we have 5, which is 2 plus 3. So the idea here is, if you look at this code, it's also valid from the beginning of this code to the end of this code, enclosed within these open curly braces and close curly braces, is called a block. This code, for instance, are separated away from code outside the curly braces, so they are more like a unit of code that executes separately. All right, so that's that for that. JavaScript keywords. All right, so we have been coming across JavaScript keywords since the beginning of this course. So what are JavaScript keywords? They are special words defined by JavaScript itself. You cannot change them. They are given to you to declare, to tell JavaScript, hey, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm about doing. When we're about to declare a function, we specify that, hey, using the keyword function, we specify to JavaScript that, oh, what we have written now is a function. The same thing happens when we're declaring a variable. We also use this keyword let. All right, so we can also use this keyword to say const. All right, so when we use the keyword const instead of let, we are saying this number 1 should not change. So now, how did we tell JavaScript that this number 1 should not change? Is that we tell JavaScript that it is a const. All right, just like JavaScript has given us a lot of keywords and say, all these keywords, I understand them. If you want to do this, use this keyword so that I will know that this is what you want to do. All right, so that's that for that. So we have a lot of JavaScript keyword, like for instance, return is a JavaScript keyword. As we move on in our code, we are going to be seeing a lot of them. For instance, var also is a JavaScript keyword. So do we have more? All right, so that's it.